This is Melissa Hardwick, who is facing charges regarding a domestic violence order filed by her husband in Michigan. Melissa is before Judge Jennifer Edwards.
I've taken your statements in your petition as part of your testimony, but I need you to tell me briefly, in your own words, what happened to cause you to ask for a domestic violence order.
Yes, Your Honor.
Until things took an unexpected turn when Melissa began talking back to the judge.
We hadn't really had anything personal up until that point. She got out of jail in April. And she
My
started.
personal life is
No.
your business, John. It has nothing to do with
Miss
you
Hardwick?
boys. No.
You will be held in contempt of this court if you become
I don't
disruptive.
care.
Despite the judge warning Melissa that she would be held in contempt if she continued speaking, Melissa refused to stop talking and interrupted the proceedings.
I haven't done anything to this court. I haven't done anything to
Okay.
him.
She will be
It
arrested
doesn't
for
make
contempt
it
of the
doesn't
court.
make any difference.
You will serve 10 days for contempt of court.
This is when things get crazy.
Get off of me!
Hands behind your back.
Wait and see.
Melissa lost control. The news seemed to trigger her, and in anger, she lunged across the bench to attack the judge, causing security to rush in. Fortunately, Judge Edwards remained unharmed during the incident, but Melissa suffered facial scratches as 3 security officers apprehended her. Adam Dodson, one of the court security officers who helped restrain Melissa, revealed that he had never witnessed such a serious incident in his 3.5 years on the job.
For 3.5 years, and this is the first time anything that serious has happened.
It was a shocking moment for everyone involved. Following the incident, Melissa was sentenced to 120 days in jail for contempt of court. Additionally, she was charged with third-degree terroristic threatening, intimidating a participant in the legal process, and resisting arrest. Her bond was set at $25,000. Despite the chaos, Judge Edwards ruled that the domestic violence order filed by Melissa's husband would remain in effect. However intense Melissa's case was, it can't be compared to the case of 18-year-old Keandria Cook,
All right, Miss Cook, come on up.
who stands accused of utilizing a dating app to orchestrate a robbery that resulted in a shooting in South Daytona. The incident occurred when Cook, then a student at Mainland High School, used a dating app called Meet Me to lure Perry Nita, a 27-year-old man, to a date in South Daytona. The plan was for Nita to sell her marijuana, and they were expected to engage in sexual activity. However, Cook had a hidden motive. Nita brought a 17-year-old friend, Emmanuel Purcell. Unknown to them, Cook's boyfriend, Kendrick Bass, was waiting to rob them. As they got into the truck, Cook informed Nita that she needed to collect some money from a friend's house. When she returned, a masked man entered the back seat. The man fired 2 shots, one of which struck Purcell in the stomach. Detectives believed that this wasn't the only time Cook and her accomplices used dating apps to lure victims in for carjacking. In fact, only 48 hours after the shooting, Bass and Cook teamed up for another carjacking. If you thought Cook's crimes were shocking, wait till you see how she reacted to her sentence. During the sentencing, she played a significant role in the orchestrated ambush. Before Judge Foxman handed down Cook's sentence, she asked to speak before the courtroom.
I just want to say that I'm sorry for the wrong that her son had to get shot, because I didn't even know he was going to get shot. My boyfriend and his friends kept trying me to do this. I didn't even know what was going on until I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. I just want to say I asked for forgiveness for a second chance so I can get out and finish school and I can make my mama proud, because I want to be her first child to bring home a high school diploma, and I just want to make my mama proud. That's it.
You know what is sure not to make Mama proud? The sentence Cook is about to receive.
Sentence you to 20 years in state prison.
He sentenced Cook to 20 years on a carjacking charge, 15 years for attempted carjacking with a deadly weapon, and 15 years for a battery felony. The sentences were supposed to be served concurrently. Immediately after the sentence was given, the courtroom was filled with intense emotions as Cook's mother cried out. She couldn't contain her grief and dropped to the floor, wailing loudly. And Cook broke down in tears. calling out to her mother.
15 years state
However, after reviewing the case, Cook's sentence was later reduced to 11 years. Cook's case may be touching, however, it wasn't the only time a courtroom went crazy during sentencing, like in the case of Alan Boston, who's facing charges for marijuana possession in Tennessee. Boston was called up to the bench to discuss his sentence and determine how he wanted to plead to the case.
I spoke with Mr. Boston. He said he wants to represent himself in this case. I told him today was just an arraignment. It's either guilty, not guilty by day.
Darn talking, son.
Yes, sir. I think it's very unfair, the marijuana law here. I think we the people deserve better because marijuana is a very harmless drug and it's been around for ages, since the 80s, 90s.
I've heard that baloney all my life, so don't go any further on that.
Yes, sir.
I don't know whether it's good or bad. All I know is Tennessee still has it against the law. I swore to uphold the laws, and I have to uphold the laws as a judge. It probably is unfair, but I can't change it. You've got to go see the legislature to get that change.
Yes, sir.
And if you get it changed...
He surprised everyone by reaching into his front pocket, pulling out a joint, and lighting it right there in the courtroom. Yes, you heard that correctly. He lit a joint in front of everyone. The incident didn't go unnoticed. Court officers swiftly intervened and grabbed Boston, escorting him out of the courtroom while a cloud of smoke trailed behind him. Wilson County Sheriff Robert Ryan, who was present at the scene, described it as one of the craziest things he had ever witnessed. However, his little stunt had consequences. In addition to the initial possession charge, Boston was booked on a second charge for simple possession due to his actions in the courtroom. On top of that, he was found in contempt of court for his disruptive behavior. As a result, he will be served 10 days in jail for the contempt charge. Spencer Boston certainly left a lasting impression on the courtroom. However, some would argue that the case of Arthur Booth is far more memorable. Arthur Booth, a 49-year-old career criminal, is facing charges of burglary, grand theft, fleeing, and resisting arrest in Miami, Florida. Additionally, he has 3 arrest affidavits for reckless driving, property damage, and leaving the scene of a crash without serious injury. In 2015, during one of his escapades, the 49-year-old was apprehended while driving a vehicle reported stolen in a robbery. Instead of complying with the authorities, he engaged in a high-speed chase, resulting in his arrest. Booth's legal predicament led him to the Miami-Dade Bond Court presided over by Judge Mindy Glazer. The judge set his bond at $43,000, or a year of incarceration, if he couldn't afford it.
Okay, Mr. Booth, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to Nautilus for middle school?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry to see you there. I always wondered what happened to you, sir.
Oh my goodness.
This is the nicest kid in middle school.
Oh my goodness.
It was then that Booth recognized his former classmate in the judge's robe. Overwhelmed with remorse and humiliation, he broke down in tears. Booth resolved to confront his addiction issues and forge a brighter future. Fast forward 10 months to when Booth is to be released from incarceration. Along with his family, Booth was met by an old friend. However emotional you think Arthur Booth's case was, the case of Judge Murphy and Andrew Weinstock gives it a run for its money. Public defender Andrew Weinstock and his client are present before Judge John Murphy in Brevard County, Florida.
2 charges, assault and resisting. Do you have the public defender? Public defender, what do you want to do?
What they filed?
They have.
I'm not waiving.
All right, what do you want to do?
What do you want to do? I'm not waiving. You want to set it for trial, set it for trial.
The judge, looking to clear his schedule, suggested that Weinstock waive his client's right to a speedy trial. Still, the attorney stood firm, committed to ensuring justice for his client. The tension between the judge and the attorney escalated, with neither finding common ground.
This is an
You know,
emergency
if I
created
had
by
a
the
rock,
state.
I would throw it at you right now.
You know, this is
Stop pissing me off. Just sit down. I'll take care of it. I don't need your help.
No,
sit
you know
down.
what? I'm the public defender. I have a right to be here, and I have a right to stand
I
and
said
represent
sit
my
down.
clients.
If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just
Let's
beat
go
your
out back.
ass.
Unable to contain his frustration, the judge proposed a physical fight outside the courtroom. To the shock of everyone present, The two men engaged in a physical altercation outside the courtroom. Unfortunately, the court camera could not capture the fight visually, but the sounds of their scuffle echoed through the recording. Eventually, a deputy intervened, separating the two combatants. Upon returning to the courtroom, Judge Murphy received applause and cheers from the defendants, who were evidently entertained by the spectacle. After catching his breath, the judge resumed the proceedings without Weinstock's disruptive presence. Unknown to Weinstock, Judge Murphy had a background as an ex-military personnel. He was a United States Army colonel and had served with the Special Forces in various countries. Despite his military achievements, the Florida Supreme Court found his behavior during the altercation with Weinstock appalling, and he was suspended. Judge Murphy's actions were crazy. However, nothing could have prepared you for the case of 18-year-old Leonid Grazer, who was facing charges for murder in Moscow, Russia. Grazer had confessed to the brutal murder of his sister, Ariada Korol, who was found naked with multiple stab wounds in their shared apartment. He claimed that Satan had ordered him to commit the heinous act. Eyewitnesses reported that before the police arrived, Grazer undressed and drew demonic symbols with blood on his sister's body and his head. He pleaded to be freed from Satan's influence, claiming that the devil incited him to kill his sister. Although his actions were horrible, Grazer's behavior in court was terrifying. Grazer finds himself in the Shubinsky courthouse, enclosed within a glass cage, precisely what Grazer had planned. Although Grazer seems to have settled down for the moment, he manages to slip through the slats at the top of the bulletproof security dock. However, police officers quickly intervened, using batons and tasers to subdue him and pull him back down. Despite losing his trousers in the process, Grazer was eventually tasered and forced to return to the dock. Once Grazer adjusts his attire, he proceeds to provide a complete confession for the murder, boldly expressing no remorse for his heinous actions. If you thought these courtroom moments were shocking, you'd be amazed at this video of 6 racists reacting to getting life in prison.